Let's just give it one more minute here and then we'll get going. All right, welcome everyone to our Oracle Analytics Live for May 2022. If you are just joining us, please let us know your name and what country you're from. We will have a live Q&A session at the end, so stay for that, please. If you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A section. Please, not the chat section. We'll save that for conversations, for links we'll be sharing. And this is our safe harbor statement. I'll give you a second to take a look at that. And this session will be recorded. So if you need to leave at any time, or if you want to see previous sessions that we've had, you can check out our Oracle Analytics YouTube page. I will put that link into the chat. And happy Friday, everyone. Welcome again. If you're joining us, let us know your name and where you're coming from. And let's get started. So we have quite the agenda today. We're going to have an update from Ben. We're going to look at the roadmaps for OAC and FAW. We're going to talk about the OAC release and patching. We're going to have lots of demos for you today. And as I mentioned, that live Q&A session at the end. All right, so let's go over to Ben for an update.
Hi everyone, this is Ben. I'm Senior Director of Product Strategy for Oracle Analytics. I see a lot of people in the chat that I know, so happy to have you, Miles. I saw also Tim, I saw Cyril from Delta Airline, John Mead, and so on and so on. So really happy. We have a lot of people today joining from all over the world. I saw Brazil, I saw Abu Dhabi, and more. So really, really cool. In the next slide, I'm going to start to show you what are the different updates in terms of product feature for May. So as you know, you have a way in Oracle Analytics Cloud and Server to do some data modeling using what we call multi-table. So multi-table allow you to bring a table from autonomous data warehouse, a table, for example, from Salesforce, to join the table, do your joining, inner join, outer join, and so on. Now you can also add files. So add Excel file, CSV files to join to the table. So imagine if you are bringing your actual from your ERP, you can now put, for example, your target into an Excel file and join all of that directly. Not only you can do that, but we also allow to have Dropbox files and also Google Drive. So it's a big jump. You were asking for it. We are delivering it. Also, persist right-click analytic calculation. That one is a little bit tricky to understand, but if you create, for example, a graph and you put outliers or cluster, now you can right-click and ask Oracle Analytics to put this specific calculation into my calculation and reuse it into a pivot table or into a different analysis. So again, not only we use machine learning in one click to do clustering, outlier, and more, but now you can use this metric into different analysis. So it's also a big innovation. Increase limit for auto insight dataset. Specifically also, we will have subject area or table in the future, and track the progress and status of unarchived catalog job. It was a small improvement, but requested by a lot of different users, and now it's delivered with a May update. So again, a lot of new features. We have also a lot of fixes for this update. In the next slide, you are going to see also that we have a demo instance, which is the Oracle Analytics public instance. It was created by Philip Lyon, which is here today, and the PM team, and also Brett and Pete Montero. We put all different data visualization on it. You can go play with it. If sometimes different departments are asking you what is Oracle Analytics, You can give them access, they can go play with it. Again, it's just a consumer read-only mode. So you will be able to open dashboard and play with it. But if you want to create data set or model it or do machine learning, you will need your own instance. We will see if we can do something like that in the future. So again, available today. And when I will start to speak, I will put the URL directly in the chat. In the next slide, I know a lot of you are new to Oracle Analytics, so I just wanted to show you just a few slides really quick in 2 minutes. You have more than 100 connectors, and we will have also different REST API connector in the future, so you can connect to Twitter, Facebook, or anything else. We have connector for ADW, Autonomous Data Warehouse, EPM Cloud, Fusion Cloud, so you have access to all the Oracle application stack. Connector directly to Amazon Redshift, Amazon EMR, but also to Microsoft SQL, Azure. You know that we have also a partnership with Azure, so you have dedicated connection for that. We have also connector to Snowflake, Salesforce, Google, Hadoop. We have also Spark. We have also a lot of different things like MongoDB and others. So again, you can play with all data sources. And finally, if you don't see a specific connector into Oracle Analytics, we have a JDBC driver to connect all your legacy system. In the next slide, you are going to see also that you can prepare your data inside Oracle Analytics. We have what we call advanced augmented recommendation and enrichment. So we can offer you, for example, to mask the social security number or to mask PID information directly. You don't have to do anything. It's one click, and we apply a sort of macro for you directly in your data set. So we have data enrichment, data quality, so you can check your data. And finally, you can apply a script, see all the different steps of your data preparation. So if you have an audit with different vendors like KPMG, EY, or others, they can see directly all the data transformation. In the next slide, I'm going to show you also that with Oracle Analytics, not only you can prepare your data, so change your metadata type to attribute, fact, or more, but you can also transform your data. You can join the data, clean your data, do some graph, aggregate, split, union, merge, do any type of thing. You can also save your data into an object store, into a database, or directly into a specific cube like Essbase Cube. All of that done from Oracle Analytics. So again, it's not just a tool for data visualization, but you can do everything. I know a lot of users are migrating from Alteryx directly to Oracle Analytics because they can do everything into a single platform. We can go to the next slide where I'm going to show you also that you can model the data. Again, as I say at the start, you can put a different table, you can navigate different schema. You just have to drag and drop the table, join it as you see it right now, and it's secure, trust, and governed. So it's really going to improve. Praveen is going to show you a new data modeling tool that we are implementing. It's really fast. And then next slide, you can see that not only you can model data, but you can also explore. Philippe demonstrated a lot of time auto insight. You load your Excel file and automatically you have auto insight showing you all the data visualization available. It's using forecast, machine learning directly. So if you are a new business analyst or just, for example, an accountant or a payable analyst, we do the work for you. We show you directly insight from your data. Finally, in the next slide, you are going to see that not only you can explore data, but you can augment your data. You can forecast and do predictive analytics. So you can select 10 years of your sales data, ask Oracle Analytics to predict the sales, and use machine learning algorithm to create your model, for example, with linear regression, neural network, or any other type of algorithm. Again, it's by drag and drop. You don't need to be a data scientist. You can be a citizen data scientist, and it's working really fast. In the next slide, we are going to know also that you can have a full experience using just one specific browser, and also you can use your mobile phone to access Oracle Analytics. So it's really a complete solution. We will send you the PDF of this presentation after this live. So tomorrow you will receive a follow-up email with all the different URL and presentation and the video. So stay tuned, and I think we can go to the last slide and we can move on. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Ben, for that update and showing us a little bit more there on OAC and what to expect. Let's move on to an update on the roadmap here. So my name's Alex Toothman, and we're going to talk about the OAC roadmap. So this first column, that's what you're going to see with that 6.4 and 6.5 release, what has already been released this year. Some of them being that Redwood as a default user experience, the skinny donut chart, filter based on data validity and quality insights. The second column that you see in the middle, that's what Ben talked about, that May release, that 6.6 release. So I'm not going to go too much into that because he did a great job there. And then the last column, let's take a look at that. That's what you can expect June through the end of the year, December. And what's really great about our OA Lives is that not only we give you some demos on what's been released, but we kind of give you a sneak peek on what's coming as well. So Philippe's going to do a really great job here showing us that OCI AI Vision at the top bullet there. We're also going to see a nice update from Pravin on the Semantic Modeler. Some of the other stuff you can expect to see in this year being the export to Microsoft Excel. On our last OA Live in April, we had a really great demo by Matt there. So if you haven't seen that and you'd like to see a little bit more about what you can expect there, I'll encourage you again to visit that OA YouTube page. We'll put the link in the chat. But let's move on here. And before I pass it over to the FAW roadmap, I do want to talk about Oracle Cloud World that is coming up. That's October 16th through 20th. That's going to be in Las Vegas. Now, you might be familiar with Open World, Oracle Open World. Now, Cloud World, it's pretty much the same thing. It had a little facelift, a little update, rebranding here, but this is going to be a huge event, a big party. It's the first time in 2 years that Oracle has, had this event. So again, it's going to be a really big deal. A lot of stuff's going on. Oracle Analytics will be there as well as other Oracle products. We're going to have people talking about data and AI. And I'm looking for some customers using Oracle Analytics that would like to speak at this event. So if you'd like to speak, shoot me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn and ping me there. We'd love to have you, love to see you there as well. All right, let's move over to the FAW roadmap with Amit.
Thank you, Alex. My name is Amit Goyal. I'm in the FAW product management team. I'll walk you through the roadmap. Next slide. So, Fusion Analytics, we do quarterly releases. So we do major releases every quarter. So you end up getting 4 of them each calendar year. So first one, I'll talk about the ERP Analytics. So ERP Analytics has been around. We have been offering that for a few years. And we continue to expand the coverage in financial analytics. So financial analysis, we are adding fixed assets, which is the major kind of analysis going in the first half. You can see depreciation modeling by category. We're expanding into projects and procurement analysis. So for projects, you can see budgets and forecasting coming in the first half of the year, followed by funding and revenue. And then, we'll continue to, in the next calendar year, we'll continue to look at things like cash management, risk management. Next is HCM. So HCM Analytics, we've also had that, of course, with our core workforce and talent data. And we are adding, learning, time and labor. When it comes to payroll analysis, over a couple of releases, we plan to add that. You can see in the future, we continue with payroll costing. And then next calendar year, we'll do things like health and safety as well. For SCM, so SCM is something that supply chain was launched late last year. And initially, we focused on order fulfillment, all of that life cycle. And we are adding shipping, picking, dropship fulfillment, COGS analysis, all of that right now. And then we get into more advanced inventory analytics. And then next year, we round it out by all the different areas of supply chain. Next is CX. Now, CX is not yet launched, and I'll talk about it in the next slide, when we get to it. So it's a packed roadmap. We are launching CX analytics soon, pretty much next month. Focus will be on sales and marketing first, and then we will kind of also round it out with service and subscription analytics. Next is the cross pillar. So cross pillar is just the platform features that support all pillars. So features like the first bullet there is metadata LCM, which is bundles. And the idea there is you can take all of your customizations from one environment to another. Or if you're a partner, you can push out your customizations to multiple customers. There's private FAW support. One of the key features is RPD merge or application merge. If you already have an existing OAC where you have invested into RPD and reports, and you would like to merge that into the FAW RPD in order to have a single pane of glass experience, will help you do that. A lot of kind of focus on extensibility and security, right? So application security is an area where we are, especially like HCM security, we want to make sure that the fusion security comes in all the way through to FAW. So we're working on that. The managed pipelines, I'll actually talk about that specifically in a couple of slides. So I'll hold on that. As far as the future, we already support different languages per instance, but for some customers have requested supporting multiple languages for the single instance. So adding support for that, looking into disaster recovery and government clouds and so forth. All right. Next. All right. So we are basically rounding out our coverage of core Fusion app pillars with Fusion CX Analytics, right? Like I mentioned, we already have ERP, HCM, SCM launched, and then CX Analytics is the last kind of core pillar. The planned live date is June 9th. And we are connecting to marketing and sales. So of course, the CX cloud, the Fusion CX cloud, Eloqua, which is the marketing cloud. And then we will continue adding support for Service Cloud, CPQ, and so forth. So the initial use cases that you would get in the June 9th release are really focused on revenue intelligence. And we are driving kind of revenue intelligence by connecting to the marketing and sales cloud. So you see the initial cases are around campaign ROI analysis, sales pipeline analysis, win-loss analysis, things of that nature. Okay, so we are very excited about being able to launch the last pillar. Next slide. All right, so this one is, the way to think about it is the core value, one of the core value propositions that FAW already offers is on the left side of this picture. When you provision FAW, we already connect to your Fusion applications. So we know how to connect to it. We automate the ETL, we manage the pipeline. So daily, there is data refreshing without customer having to do anything. So that's the core kind of value that you get with FAW. And on the right-hand side is, if a customer wanted to create their own ETL, bring in their own data using, let's say, ODI or things of that nature, they could do so. But what we're doing is we are actually adding a new feature. If you click next, we are adding this new feature where Oracle managed data pipeline. So not just the core Fusion applications, but we have validated connectors to other systems, Oracle and non-Oracle, right? EPM, the on-premise, e-business suite, PeopleSoft. Similarly, non-Oracle systems, Salesforce, Shopify, Google Analytics. And the idea is that you can just create a connection, and then we would manage the, if you wanted to bring in, let's say, few tables from Salesforce, we would manage the daily ETL, and it's automated and reliable and so forth. So this is a key feature. We're excited about it. In fact, for some of the things listed on the right-hand side, like EPM, EBS, Eloqua, PeopleSoft, Salesforce, I mean, some of them are already available in beta, in preview, and then next week we're launching the top kind of 6 of those right there, and in 3 months, we would launch the rest as well. So if you are interested in, if you have customers interested in using these, please reach out and we can turn these on. All right, that was the core things I wanted to talk about today. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. So we are now going to move over to an OAC release and patching. Let's talk a bit more about that with Gurley and Sinan. Welcome, both of you. I'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Gurley, would you like to start?
Yes. All right, let's start with the release side first. So hi, everyone. My name is Gurley DeLisa Jasper, and I'm the Director of Release Management. My team is responsible for the end-to-end release process for Oracle Analytics product suite. I'm here today to share with you some changes we implemented in the release management space for Oracle Analytics Cloud and the results of those changes. Almost 2 years ago now, we worked with the development and product management team to change and improve our release processes for OAC product updates. Our main objectives were threefold. First, we wanted to instill confidence in our product update plans. So what we did is we actually shortened our release cycle and focused on delivering smaller payloads, which are easier to manage. This allowed us to iterate on features more quickly and reduce the number of issues for each product update. And then second, we wanted to improve our product update predictability and remove any ambiguity of when the product updates are going to happen. So with our shorter release cycle and more manageable payload, we're able to establish a bi-monthly cadence for product updates. And what that means to our customers is that you can basically expect for product updates to be available every other month. So for example, for this year, we are planning to deliver 6 product updates to our fleet. We already delivered the January and March updates. The May update is on schedule for this month. And then for the remainder of the year, we've got the July, September, and November updates all on schedule. And then our third objective is really to improve the quality of the product updates that we push to our fleet. While our development team continue to employ software development best practices and expand test coverage across new and existing areas of the product, we at Release Management team also want to contribute to the quality of what we give to our customers. So we did a review of our release processes and made changes to our release orchestration. Part of that is enlisting our key internal customers in our dogfooding our product updates. So this basically allowed us to capture and address additional issues before we hit production. Next slide, please. Okay, so just to expand on that last point, we looked at release data from the past 3 years and saw a downward trend on key release quality metrics. First, we looked at the regression count from last year and compared that with the 2 previous 3 years. And we saw over 60% decrease in the number of regression issues reported both during the release cycle and after the product update hits production. We also looked at service request data, and given the same time frame, the number of customer service requests from 2021 decreased by about 40% compared to previous years. So these numbers are, truly a testament to the positive impact of the release transformation that we, again, introduced a couple of years ago. We're going to continue to pursue improving our processes to keep these numbers down and to continue to deliver quality product updates to our customers. So with that, I'll hand over to Sinan, who'll cover patching.
Thank you very much, Gurley. First, a quick introduction. This is Sinan Engage, came from the same organization as Gurley, Oracle Analytics Service Excellence team. I'm a senior director in that team, and I own patching, incident management, and product engineering in my organization. After the release management delivers their binaries, we start rushing the binaries to our clients, to our services. And to do that, we have a whole new process called the update process, and it starts with the courtesy customer notifications. We'll let the customers know about the upcoming changes, and then we try to provide at least 2 weeks of heads up. And I'd like to highlight a few characteristics of our patching. The first one is about downtime. We do not introduce any downtime during our OAC updates. So this is a misperception that exists in some of our customers' mind, maybe something that's coming from on-prem experiences, but on our cloud, there is no downtime. So you should be able to continue using your systems during any kinds of updates that we introduce on OAC instances. We also support staggered patching. What it means is that if you have non-prod environments and prod environments, we can update your non-prod environments first, and then give a few days before updating your prod environments. We also allow some level of rescheduling. However, this is only for emergencies and only on the production environments. And for non-production environments, we would like to get your feedback as soon as possible. And we would like to do any kinds of fixes if and when needed on your non-production environment. So that's why we only provide the rescheduling for prod environments. Okay, back to you, Alex.
Thank you both for that insightful information on patching. Okay, let's move on. We have Barry. Barry, welcome back. Nice to have you back this month. What do you have for us this month?
I'm going to go a little bit further into what Ben started showing. So if I can share my screen. Anyway, I'm Barry Mostert, Senior Director with the Analytics Product Marketing Group. And I'm going to show you just a little bit of more what Ben started. So this is the new OAC Public. Well, it's been around for a while, but it's a bit more available to you now. So I'm going to paste a link if Ben hasn't already into the chat after I finish this, but I'll show you how it goes so you get an idea how to jump in and start. I'm just going to paste the URL in there, and you'll get no login, no sign up. You don't have to kind of register or anything like that. You're just straight in and you can play. It is a cut down environment. We did that, of course, so no one can damage it, but it is kind of functional in terms of I can do things like natural language query. So I can say sales and discount by, let's say, product, category, and customer segment. So you can type your thing in and you can push the button and it'll actually do a render live of the actual query here. So you don't have to be able to go and find all the different things, but you can interact. You can see the charts are actually interactive here, and I can even jump into this one, open it a little more. And if I really want to play with it, you can see all of the keep only, remove selected, and all those sort of things are functional. Or I can highlight a few bars and say, let's drill down into, say, ship date. And you can get some really nice kind of charts come back just from playing with that. So it's much more interesting. You know, we do show you a lot of demos, but this one you can really get in there and start to do something yourself. If you want to see some of the pre-built projects, I'll quickly show you some of those. You'll be starting here in the homepage. You can pick from the homepage, but there's more than what the homepage is showing. So if you want to see a little more, you can click here on the little hamburger down the top left, and then choose catalog. And from the catalog, you just need to switch from the shared folders. Make sure you go to the shared folders and into the examples, and then you will see the entire library collection of all the different public-facing demos that we have. And we're adding to these all the time. We're about to add a whole bunch of more public sector demos coming soon. So find something that's your fancy and you can jump in and kind of play with it. I've chosen just 3. Here's the stock history example, and you can kind of really play with these. There's several canvases down the bottom, so you do have interactivity to try and look and use these. As you can see, they are read-only, so I can't move graphics around. I can't add new ones, but you still get that interactive experience. You can move through the canvases. So if you do need to show your colleagues, if you have it already, this is a good option. It's always available. It's really got really good performance. So you can see this is live. I haven't filmed this. I can move my mouse left, right. It's actually real. Here's the taxes. This is a good one, showing a bullet diagram. Some other things are in here as you shift around. I know I'm going real quick. I'm trying to make up a bit of time for these guys. Here's one with the maps. So if you want to show some spatial analytics, I've got the one for the LA arrests by location. So I can even zoom in using my mouse wheel, and it's pretty responsive. It's going to look a little jerky for you on Zoom, but it is pretty responsive, and you can see all the hotspots and things related to those arrests as I move towards the downtown area. You can kind of see all those things in Los Angeles. If I go on to the next one, that's about it. So I'm going to hand back to you, Alex. That was a quick, short and sweet overview, and I'll paste that link directly into the chat right now. Definitely jump in there. And if you have any feedback, shoot Ben, me, or anybody on the team an email with some suggestions. And as long as we're not breaking copyright law, we can definitely add projects, which means that if you have a cool project and you're willing to share it, we're happy to import it and put it in here too. All right. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Barry. I will just share my screen here real quick. All right, we're going to move over to Philippe now for an OCI Vision integration demo. Philippe, I'll pass it over to you.
Hello, Alex. Good morning. Thanks. Let me actually share my screen. Okay, I need to share. Hello, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. And thanks for having me on the call, Alex and Ben. So I want to give you a brief demo of a real product, a real feature that's coming in the next update of Oracle Analytics, and that is in July. And so I'm a business user, and what you see on my screen is a bunch of images of my parking lot. And these are images and pictures that a camera has taken at different times of the day of the same parking lot. So as I click through the images, you can see the date and the hour at the top. And as a business analyst, I'm interested in analyzing the usage of these parkings, of that parking lot over time, and measuring the cost and the maintenance and doing some analysis with this. So one way for me to do with this, all of these images, is to go into OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Vision AI, and just ask the system to do object detection on my images. So we can do this in Oracle. So if I just invoke that service and drag one of my images, any image like this one, for instance, here, the system will detect different objects on the image. So you can see it found a scooter, a motorcycle here, and a series of cars, maybe a tree or a light, whatever. And there I could just analyze these results. But I need to apply this to 400 images. I got 400 images or 4,000 images of my parking lots at different time of the day. How do I do this? So one way for me to do this is just to use analytics integration with Vision, and that's what I'm going to demo to you. So previously, what I've done, I have uploaded my images in my OCI storage. So there is a storage option here. We call it a bucket. So basically, I've created a folder on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and that folder. So I'm doing a live demo, right? So this is all real. And here's my folder, it's car parking folder. And just before this call, I have uploaded everything here into the folder. So you can see all my edges here. I have 415 of them with the time, the day, and the hour here. This is all ready. And let me now go to Oracle Analytics. So oops, here's my Oracle Analytics UI. So in order to use the OCI service right away, what I need to start doing is register that, and in once and for all in OAC, right? So basically tell OAC where to look for that service. So you may remember we've integrated OAC with machine learning models from the Oracle database. We've integrated OAC with the OCI function as a service, so custom scripts. And what's coming next is the integration of vision models. So what it means is I'm going to register a model and I point it to an OCI connection. And there I will see the different models that exist in this OCI connection, vision models, for instance. In this case, these are vision models. So it's taking a few seconds because it's reaching out to OCI. And I just have to, maybe some of them are pre-trained, vanilla, maybe some of them are custom trained. What I want is my object detection model here, and I can call it anything I want. So call demo model, for instance. I have to provide it with a folder to work with. It's just a transit folder, and that's it. And that's it. We're ready. Now, next, what's next? Well, we just create a data flow. Now I'm a business user. My admin has registered my model, a model. And in my data flow, I'm just going to use a data set to start with. And you know what is in this data set? What is in this data set is simply that bucket location where I have all my objects. Remember all of these 400 images? So there is a URL to point to that folder, and that's the URL. And what I'm going to do next is simply say, I would like to apply a AI model to this data, so the data that is in this folder. What AI model? So I did several demos, right? So maybe we can find the one that we just, here is ours, call demo model. This is the model we just registered a minute ago. So it's an object detection vision model. And what the system is going to tell me is, first, okay, what is the bucket information that you want me to use? So I remember I had this data set. Actually, I have this data set, may expand it. It's the bucket location, right? So I'm going to point the service to the bucket location that I'm giving it. And I'll just leave everything default. I'll just raise the number of objects. So this is just saying for each image in this bucket, I would like the system to find up to 60 objects, right? So possibly 60 cars. I know 60 because I know my parking lot is big, like 60 cars. It can hold about 60 cars. And that's it. And in fact, I have prepared this data flow already. So I'm going to fast forward for time's sake. So here is my data flow. It's the same one. I'm just going to open it. So I've opened this. I've applied. Actually, I've added this model. What I'm doing next is I'm just parsing a few columns. Remember, we had some hours and days as part of the image name. So the model we gave a bucket information to the model, and the model will give us all the images that exist in this bucket. So as an output, we will have all the file names, and I can parse these names and extract hour, extract day, and extract different information and just save it. And I can run this data flow, okay? And just running it, in fact, to save time, I'm just going to show you its statistics. It takes about 2 minutes to complete 400 images, right? So I'm going to show you the history of this thing. And well, I was messing up with it, but it ran for 2 minutes about to complete this this step. And the result of this is a data set, and this data set I can analyze. So let's open that data set. We see here all of the results about our analysis. Okay, so it found 11,000 objects in our, I got a number of images here, 414 images. So this is what we started with a minute ago. And the system found 11,000 objects. So I have built a few reviews, visualizations with this. It found this many, and that's by object. So it found some images, found up to 55 objects, and it's mostly cars. It's a little bit of trees. It's a little bit of street lights, and it's mostly about cars. But if I keep going on, I can change this reporting and add some visualization in OAC that help me understand exactly what these images were. So let me actually resize this a little bit. So we have visualizations that will show us exactly the images. So this is the breakdown of objects by hour of day. Remember, we were parsing hour in the data flow. This is simply number of objects by hour. So I have up to 37 cars at 1400. I have 35 cars in average at 10. And if I slice this by a day of week, let's look at a Tuesday, for instance. So in fact, I'm going to, filter the whole, okay, let me click on a Wednesday now. And this is going to filter the entire shape, hopefully. So now it's refreshing with Wednesday, and it's showing me a little less images. And you see now we have only 58 images. And if I want to look at a given hour of day for Wednesday, let's say 9 a.m. on Wednesday, we're looking at, this is going to refresh to probably a little less. And we can see we have now 6 images, right? So these are the 6 images there. And if I click on a given image, I can see the number of objects that the system, that OCI found. So these were what? So I've clicked on one image that has 13 objects. All of them are cars, and I can count them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. So that is just a way for me to go to the bottom of it, but I took my 400 images, and now I have a very powerful functional analysis. You will be able to enjoy this in the July release of OAC. It's all there, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Thanks. That was my demo.
Some really cool stuff there. Thank you for sharing. All right. Let me just share my screen here quickly. All right, for our Semantic Modeler update, we have Pravin. Welcome. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Alex. I still can't share. Okay, there we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Pravin Janardhanam with Oracle Analytics Product Management. Today, I'm going to cover Semantic Modeler and the updates. So I'm excited to share with you that Semantic Modeler is available starting this week with the May 2022 update. Right, so the feature itself is available in preview mode, so it's not enabled by default. A service administrator can go to console and then preview. You'll see an option to toggle option to turn it on. Right, I know many of you have been part of the Semantic Modeler journey in the past year or two. I see a few of you here part of the LA program. But as of right now, it's not, it is available in public preview mode. What that means is, anybody can turn on and try this feature in their environment. We recommend not to use it for production purposes. Even though it is in preview mode, you can raise SRs. We will, get to the SRs, fix the SRs. So you just like, any other issues, you can raise SRs. Okay. Only thing is that please don't use it in production and don't create server-1 SRs. Okay. So what is available? So basically, in the initial version of Semantic Modeler currently are relational sources only. So if you have only relational sources, not Essbase, Oracle OLAP, or analytic views, you will be able to use Semantic Modeler for creating governed semantic models. Okay. And some of the data sources supported, that's listed right there. Okay, so it is available in public preview mode. So what does that mean? So as you all know that semantic model, or more fondly called as RPD or repository, in the past 2 decades, is the brain of analytics query engine. Okay, but that particular model itself is created by a developer offline, using model admin tool, and then deployed to the Oracle Analytics query engine, right? So the model admin tool today is a Windows-only desktop client tool. You don't have a version for Mac. You can't, you don't have a tool that, that you can create semantic model from within OAC. Yes, we do have a data modeler that is available today, which provides a scaled down features to create the semantic model, right? So with this release, the first thing that you should know is we have a code, we have taken a code-centric approach for defining semantic models. That means you have a JSON-based SMML, semantic model markup language, that you can use to define semantic models. Or if you're, if you'd like to, if you like to use graphical interface-based modeling tool, Then you have Semantic Modeler, which is an integrated component of OAC, just like data flows or any other component of OAC. It is integrated with OAC. So you will see an option when you enable this option, you will see Semantic Model right there from within OAC. But behind the scene, what happens is, even though you use an UI tool, you are creating the Semantic Modeler behind the scene, generates the definitions in SMML, and you have the option. You can deploy it as an RPD into the Oracle Analytics Query Engine. So, from a deployment standpoint of view, so Oracle Analytics Query Engine still takes an RPD, so there is an SMML to RPD conversion there. Right? So as we all know, one of the significant aspects of a development process for semantic models is a collaborative way of developing, team development, and source control. So Semantic Modeler has an integration, that allows you to tightly integrate with any Git-based system. That could be GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket, any Git-based system in the cloud. So you can integrate it with Git, and from there on, all your audit tracking, all of that capabilities that is provided by Git is available to you. With that said, so SMML is your semantic model definition and design time, and your RPD is semantic model definition at runtime. Okay, let's check out the demo. So here I'm creating a semantic model by importing an existing RPD that I have. So I'm pretty sure you all have, if you are using subject areas in Oracle Analytics, the foundation for that is an RPD. You can import the RPD that you have, try it out. So here I'm importing an RPD that I already have. I'm providing the password for it, and upon import, you'll land in a the presentation layer. What I'm seeing here is the presentation layer on the left. Each layer is a tab on its own. Now I am in the logical layer, where I can see this facts and dimensions, and this is my physical layer. In addition, we have introduced one additional layer for connections, and you have a separate tab for init blocks and variables. Every object that you see here, like dim action here, all the properties that you see, all these properties are similar to what you would have seen in admin tool. You can use the UI to define them, create hierarchies, data filters, and whatnot. But every object behind the scene is a file on its own. So here is the SMML definition for it. So if you would prefer to cut, copy, paste, or develop directly using code, you can use the inbuilt editor, or you can use an external editor as well. You can download and use an external editor. Right. All the familiar features, like showing a physical object and its related objects in diagramming, which we use quite frequently when we create this, semantic models. What you're seeing here is the physical diagram, and it's related, of a physical table and its related objects. If I go to the logical layer, similarly, I also have the same, logical table and direct joins. So here is my logical diagram. As you can see, the join is a bit different here because you can specify the join type. In addition, one of the most commonly used feature is query repository, which is known as show related here. And you can pick any object and show its related objects. So what you're seeing here is a modern search interface similar to DB. And from the search results, opening your object is just a click away. Right? And if you miss the 3 layers in admin tool, so you do have the show lineage option from any object. So you see the relationship between the objects in the 3 layers. This is a lineage for only within the semantic model. So you can see a table level and a column level lineage. In addition, one of the significant features, and also to address some of the pain points with multi-user development. So you have Git integration, and that this is completely baked in from within Semantic Modeler. You can integrate it with any Git repo. So here, for this particular example, I'm using a GitHub. I just created a GitHub repo, copying the HTTPS URL. So you paste the URL and provide a username and personal access token for Git. And I'm initializing Git, right? If you're familiar with Git, you know what Git init is. And that's it. Within a minute, I have a multi-user development setup. And all my files, my hundreds or thousands of files are initialized into Git. As you can see, behind the scene, you have a logical folder, physical folder, presentation, and a variable folder, right? So if I open the logical folder, I saw, the business model is core. Under the business model, all of these are my logical tables, that I just saw in the UI, right? So I can open, as you can see, it's .json, which is an SMML. SMML is JSON format, so you see it as .json, right? So from here on, any changes that you make, any change that you make is tracked in real time. So I'm just creating a few branches, which is the best practice to do to make your changes in a branch. You can create a branch for a feature branch or a release branch, or a one-off bug fix branch, right? So I'm creating 2 feature branches here. As you know, currently with admin tool, if you have to do this, it requires a lot of careful planning, but here creating a branch is just, you can do it within a few seconds, right? I'm going to simulate a scenario where there are 2 developers making similar changes. So the moment I made the change, as you can see, dim action, the system automatically immediately tracks that there is a change to that object. You can see at any point, as you're working throughout the day, that there's going to be hundreds of changes here. At any point, if you want to see the diff, you can just right click and say the diff, and you will see what is the previous state of your object that was committed and the current state, right? So I can stage my changes. Again, all of these processes that you see on the right, they are all Git standard processes, staging, unstaging, all of that. So, and then committing the changes and then pushing the changes to the, to your remote branch, all of that. Okay. So that pretty much shows you at a very high level, what are all the features that is available in Semantic Modeler and SMML as well. There is already a YouTube video out there. We'll provide the link when we share this, PDF. So if you are interested in seeing the complete video, you can see that YouTube link. That concludes my presentation. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thanks, Pavan. We're going to move on now. We're going to check out data visualization. Let me just share my screen here. Pavan, you gotta, I'll just take over. All right. Got it. So let's move on here with the DV demo. We have Daniel back with us from Brazil.
Hi, Alex. Thank you. Thank you for introducing me. Just let me share my screen too. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Okay, so this data visualization, it's about the statistics about the Brazil commercial affairs, external affairs, open data. So before we start here to explore the possibilities and how are the relations between Brazil and the rest of the world, just give you a quick overview of the kind of visualization that were developed. So here we can see a historical waterfall view of the exports from Brazil in dollars. Okay, so we can see here 20 years of export by quarter. Just beside it, we have the map to which countries Brazil is exporting their products, some totalizators with the total amount of dollars exported, the weight of the product exported, and the total amount of registers in the database. And at the bottom, we have the sunburst visualization, which we can see the four levels of classification of the International Standard Industrial Classification. And here in the bar graph, you can see the main states that are exporting their products to the world. Okay, so here I want you to show you how we can see the three distinct point of views between to where we are exporting our products, which kind of products we are exporting, and in the main states responsible for the exporting, and how we can detail this data using these three views as they are enabled with the user as a filter graphs. So, okay, let's start here with the details about Portugal, our brothers in the other side from the ocean. So, okay, just click in Portugal, and now we're having the context of the filter passing through the next graphs. So we're seeing how much we're exporting. Portugal is main buying from Brazil crude petroleum, and this petroleum is coming mainly from the Rio de Janeiro state. It's a specialized state for producing petroleum in Brazil. Okay, and so let's click outside here in the map, and let's see now a detail from the view of the product. You want to see, Brazil is a big exporter of agricultural products. So you can see here that there's a lot of growing cereals, leguminous crops, and oilseeds. You can think of it of soy, basically a soy. Brazil exports a lot of soy to the world. So if we click in it, we can see which countries are buying soy from us. Basically, all around the world is buying soy from Brazil. And also we have a specialized state producing soy. So Mato Grosso, it's mainly a state for producing agricultural products. Okay. Okay, let's click outside. And now let's take a look from the point of view from the state. So São Paulo, it's a much more industrialized state. So mainly of what he is exporting to the world is manufactured. A lot of stuff, manufacturing, sugar, petroleum products, motor vehicles, and once again, almost the entire world is buying exported products from São Paulo. Okay, now I want to see a combination using the three filters to get a detailed view from some country. So I'll here start with a view from the United Kingdom. So which kind of products United Kingdom is buying from Brazil. Here you can see he is mainly buying basic precious and other non-ferrous metals, but United Kingdom also imports from Brazil arts and entertainment activities. So if I click on it, you'll see that the filter are combined for the other visualization. So we're having here United Kingdom view from the states. So São Paulo, it's the main state exporting art to the world or to United Kingdom. You can see the context being accumulated between the views. Oops, sorry, my cat. And if I want to see to where more São Paulo is exporting arts and entertainment, I just click in it. You can see the context being analyzed and accumulated between the graphs. So you can see that United Kingdom imports from Brazil a lot of creative arts entertainment, and to where more Brazil is importing arts. So that's about the kind of visualization I wanted to show you today. I hope I got you inspired to create your own visualizations about the commercial affairs from your country. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that with us. That's some cool stuff. We always love to see what everyone's doing with OAC here. We're going to do a quick FAW demo, so stay with us here. We have Gunvanesh again. Gunvanesh, I'll pass it over to you for a quick demo there.
Thanks, Alex. I'm going to try and fast track this and make the best use of the 5 minutes I have. I'm going to talk about diversity analytics or the diversity analysis, which is a deep, a subject area which is focused on advanced analytics. It's a deep problem that we at Oracle are trying to solve. Just so that everyone on the call knows what FAW is. FAW is our attempt to democratize people data, ERP data, all other data which exists and provide management level analytics to our customers, right? So within that, there is HCM analytics, which is my focus, and we are looking at workforce diversity. We're looking at attrition, retention, talent acquisition, compensation, and all sort of subject areas like that. Within that lies the problem of diversity. Diversity, as we know, in the last 2 years, because of the pandemic, has kind of taken off. So our understanding, or at least my understanding of diversity is, diversity is different types of groups when it comes to gender, ethnicity, age, and minorities, etc. Within that, there are some biases, there are some discriminations which exist in every organization, and that's what we are trying to surface. That's what we are trying to uncover. And the idea behind this is how do we spark conversations around diversity, which relates to promotions, hiring, compensation, terminations, etc. So these biases, these discriminations exist, and I want to make sure everybody understands this topic before I show you a demo. And our purview here is that we are looking at protected groups which are defined by the EEO, right? And this is in the purview of the US. US is a country only. We have not gone beyond that. These protected groups are like race, color, region, sex, national origin, age, etc. So to give an example, female is a protected group. Age, in terms of age, anybody over 40 is a protected group, right? So that's what we are trying to uncover, that where are these discriminations, where are these biases that exist. To land the point home, or to make everyone understand what we are trying to do is like, assume we are looking at Chicago, Illinois, and there is this hiring data around 25 males out of 100 were, or 125 were hired, and similarly for females. The selection rate for males is 20% and the selection rate for females is 9%, right? Now we want to deep dive and understand why is the selection rate so low for females, which is a protected group, right? That's what we are essentially trying to do here. And now I'm going to bring in the angle of statistics, because that's how we are trying to land the point home, right? We're looking at different statistical models like the chi-square test, the z-test, and the Fisher's test to provide you with enough information which will tell you whether there is a bias which exists, whether there was discrimination or not. In order to do that, we need to have a null hypothesis. Our null hypothesis is that employment decisions are non-discriminatory, right? That everybody is looked as an equal when it comes to selection, right? And we're going to look at this with a big data set, a sample data set, which we have. So with that context, I'm going to go into a series of visualizations and try and cover this up. I think looks like I got logged out, so bear with me. I'm going to log back in. Alrighty, we are back in. I'm going to minimize this, go full screen. All right, so I have 3 visualizations here, which will scratch the surface, or which will give us an indicator of whether there is, a bias, whether there is some sort of discrimination which exists, and then we'll deep dive into it via the ethnicity details, which is the second canvas here. So if you look at the first visualization here, it tells me that there is, some sort of standard deviation which is going beyond, 7 points when it comes to Black African or Americans. Similarly, for Asians, there is a standard deviation which is going beyond the mean, right, which is the average here. There is some data around no value, but for whites, there is, it's pretty much in the window. So there seems to be no problem there. Then we're also going to look at the same data set with a z-test, which is another statistical test, right? Similar results there. You see that for Black African Americans, etc., there is, the mean is going beyond the average. Finally, we're also going to look at the selection rate, that how was the selection rate also, is the selection rate also indicating something similar? So yes, if we look at the selection rate as well, again, Black or African Americans are struggling here. The Asians are doing a little bit better. There's no value, and the whites are, much beyond that. And then there is, if you had not disclosed your ethnicity, then you are, you're not judged. So looking at this via sample data, I'm going to now deep dive into ethnicity details. So this is more of a detailed view, which is a line by line view. Year over year, you can do it. Quarter over quarter, you can do it by any time frame, which will indicate whether, what you saw through those statistical tests, is actual problem or not. So here is one detailed report which talks about EEOs, again, the categories by ethnicity code, and shares all these statistical tests. And then if I scroll down, I can again look at those by ethnicity. So finally, you will be able to see for each of your populations, whether it's by race, color, religion, etc., or whether the bias existed and where it existed, at what point it existed. that's something we've built, and this is a new subject area which is coming up. Also, just to showcase that all of this metrics which I just demoed to you are preceded, which means you can, you will see these metrics, these statistical values preceded once you have the subject area. So the work on your side is fairly limited because you can go into promotions, you can go into promotions by country, look at whatever statistical test you want to look at. Similarly, you can look at salaries, you can look at terminations, etc. With that, I'll pause here. And I'm sorry I went over a minute, but that was diversity analysis. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was a really great overview there. And thanks for everyone for hanging in with us. We are going to move to the Q&A session now. All right. And while we go through the Q&A, I'm just going to put a few polls up if you can take a second to answer those. But let's start with the first one. Where can I obtain the animation? And I think that's referring to Ben, what you were presenting in the beginning.
Oh, okay. So on that one, and I will invite all over PM to be on the camera. So we are all there to do that. And I will also switch this to gallery so we can see everyone at the same time. Okay. And maybe Alex, you can stop to present also. It should be fine. So to see the different animation, good question. So I will send normally the presentation in PDF format, but tomorrow you will receive an email with all our LinkedIn, all our email. If you want, just drop me an email and I will send you the PowerPoint presentation. It's very heavy, so we need to put the PowerPoint presentation somewhere, but you will have all the animation inside it.
All right, thank you, Ben. Next one from Guy, user ID and password for the DV site. Do we have that available?
I can answer that. If it's referring to the OSC public, then there is no user ID and password. As you saw, you just put that URL in and you go straight into it.
Thanks, Barry. All right, next one. Where can I find more info about OCI data science integration?
I can take this. So join these calls because we are working on this currently. And if you need their urgent info, contact me. I'll tell you more about it. But we are the same way you saw me demo integration between OCI AI or OML and OAC. We are working on the same level of integration between OCI DS, so data science, and it's on the roadmap. It's actually it's actively being designed right now.
All right, next one, the Microsoft Power BI connector in the limited availability. Can we expand a little more, demo what it would entail and encompass?
I can take that one, and I think he had to drop off, but I will reach out to you, and I'm also in contact with somebody else from your company as well. So I'll reach out to both of you guys, and we can get you guys signed up for that.
All right, thanks, Jamie. Next one, what type of disaster recovery solution are you looking at providing?
I'll take that. This is Amit. That was a question regarding FAW disaster recovery. So today we don't have an out-of-the-box queue for disaster recovery. What we are recommending to enterprises is to set up a secondary instance, just like your production instance. And then over time, we will start providing cloning and sync capabilities. Today there are backup capabilities like bundles and ADW backups, but that's the way we are thinking of. We're going down that direction where a secondary production is set up and bought by a customer, and then we try to help you keeping it in sync.
All right, next one, is there going to be support for FAW data loads for intraday, say 2 or 3 times a day as scheduled jobs?
Yes. So today, it's daily, and then around August, the next release, which is 22R3, we will allow you to do that.
All right, next one we have here. Any plans to create ETL to the JD Edwards applications?
Yes, so just like I mentioned in the slide, we had PeopleSoft and EBS. So JD Edwards is also on the roadmap. And again, in August timeframe, 22R3, we can offer it in preview for people who want to use it.
All right, for the Oracle managed pipeline to EBS, will it be combined with out-of-the-box FAW data repository, or will it be a side repository within FAW, or as a repository of OADW OAC?
Yeah, so what happens here is the EBS data would land in tables within the FAW schema, but in a separate table. And then we union the data with the other FAW data so that you can do reports and so forth on it. So I guess it's a little bit of a mixed answer, which is yes, it lands into the FAW repository in a separate table, and then you can report on it alongside the FAW subject areas.
All right, thanks for answering that for us. We have one from Dan here. Can we plan on the demos that are there? Will they be there next year, or will the workbooks be changing? I'd like to point customers to this, but he wants to know if they're going to be changing in the future, or if some are experimental or maybe removed.
Yeah, we can, I can take this. So yeah, we can definitely leave them. We have many projects there have been there for quite a while. So then certainly if you have candidates for a sustained presence there, yes, of course, there may be some experimentals as you suggest, but we can certainly mark them, and yeah, totally open to this. And thanks for asking that question.
All right, and Philippe, I think this next one's for you. What version is available for the Apply AI model?
It is actually next version, July.
So very soon.
Actually, Apply Vision AI model, because AI has other models as well on language and other things, but that's coming right after.
All right, next one. Would like to get more information on FAW RPD merge with custom OAC content, also including catalog and security components. How will this merge work with an ongoing basis?
Yeah, so this one, yeah, we are happy to kind of give you more information. You know, happy to set up a conversation. Please reach out to Alex. It is not on an ongoing basis. So it is true that the security, the catalog components are merged, but it is the step that you have to do yourself using tools that we provide. So it does not, there is no automatic sync or anything of that nature, right? You have to kind of use the tools we provide to merge, create the single pane of glass. So if you want to update, let's say, you have to go through that process again. There is no automatic merge.
All right, next question. Does SMML support parent-child dimension hierarchies?
For Praveen. Without the mute, Praveen will be.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben. So yes, so pretty much every feature that you have from a model creation standpoint of view, there is another question here from Kevin as well. I'll try to address it at the same time. Is available in Semantic Modeler. The only limitation would be from a data source standpoint of view, only relational sources to start with. With Essbase and Oracle Analytics, Oracle OLAP and other stuff coming later. But for relational sources, pretty much every modeling capability will be, is available. And if you don't see any, that is a bug, please let us know.
Moving on
to comment on Kevin's thing, it is going to be the new tool. So in the long run, once you move to Semantic Modeler, you would not really be using the admin tool for modeling. There may be some still admin functions you might do from CLI, but for modeling, you'd use Semantic Modeler.
That's right.
Thanks, Pravin. Thanks, Brett. Next one we have here, will Semantic Modeler be in addition to RPD? Will it touch live RPD?
So it's not live RPD in the sense that you're not, working off of a RPD in memory, but you have the option to, load from the memory and work off of it. Even today in OAC, if you use admin tool and connect to online, it's not really you're working online. You are making a copy of it and publishing it.
Okay, another one from Dan. Can you share ideas on how we can experiment with Semantic Modeler in real projects? We don't want to have to redo things. Can we create an RPD in Semantic Modeler and then open it in BI admin tool so we can rely on it? We would be careful with backups, but we need to know a way to experiment with new Semantic Modeler and get our work to production.
Yeah. So when you try Semantic Modeler right now, with the update that's available, you have the option to export it as a zip file. You have the option to export it as an RPD file. So that basically means you can open it in admin tool. So if you would like to verify, certain things, you can still do that initially, when you're testing things out. We wouldn't recommend a bi-directional one. What I mean by that is, half your development is in Semantic Modeler and some in admin tool. That way you lose your, the audit tracking and all the capabilities that is provided by Git. But you can download RPDs and open an admin tool and deploy it to your test and product environments as needed.
And the other thing I'll add is that, the Semantic Modeler has a lot of quality right now. It's just this is the first time we're asking a broad audience to start using it. So definitely, I think our recommendation would be to try it in your UAT environments or your dev environments, get your own confidence on how it's working. In the end, the RPD that it generates when you publish or export the RPD is the same RPD. There's no runtime difference. Semantic Modeler is just the design time tool. We do want you to try it and to use it. And we do have some internal teams that are starting to do it as a primary development tool. So.
We have a lot of questions on the Semantic Modeler, but we will get to those. Let's keep going in order here. In a previous version of the OAC roadmap, there was an item called variables/parameters for workbooks. Is this still part of the current roadmap?
I will take that one. So yes, it's a very, very, very important and popular one for all our classic users, I will say. So this parameter was on the second half of 2022. It's still in the roadmap. I think it might have switched a little bit under Safe Harbor, but it's still planned and it's still one of the top features we are working on. And I'm not sure if Brett or Praveen or Philip wants to add anything to that.
I think that's a good summary. I think the only other thing is that it will be valuable to lots of scenarios that we'll be able to start doing with the parameters in addition to things you used to do in Classic. So it'll be a great feature when it comes out.
All right, moving on to the next one from Thomas Lee. I would like to request to get Semantic Modeler link for what Pravin presented.
Is the question specific to the YouTube link that I mentioned or to the application itself?
I guess we can address both. We should put the YouTube link, we can put it in the chat, and then the email, the current link, that's pretty shallow overview. In that YouTube link, it's more of an overview for a broad audience. And then if you have the May update, once you have the May update on your instances, you can go enable the Semantic Modeler preview. Everyone has access to it starting with May. So.
Another one here for both of you. How does the new modeler handle variables and other management options from admin tool?
Exactly same as admin tool, as I said earlier. So pretty much every single feature is available in Semantic Modeler. That basically means with respect to, since the question is with respect to variables, you have the same variable definitions. You can create global variables, which are dynamic variables and session variables and static variables. One thing that you may notice, maybe there is a 5 to 10% change in doing certain things. It's doing the same thing what you currently have, but in a better way. There have been certain terminology changes that have been wishful thinking for the past 2 decades. We have changed it for good. But other than that, every single property that you define today in Semantic Model should be available.
Yeah, the only thing to call out is it does require you to use a DSS connection. So you have to create your connections in OAC, and then you connect to them through a name, and that will facilitate, say, deployment to different environments and all that type of stuff. You no longer use the console connections for when you're publishing with Semantic Modeler.
That's right. So that's a good one, Brett. So if today, I know a year or so back, we have externalized connections. That's because prior to that, you have to define your connection information in RPD. That basically means that every single time you migrate from one environment to another, you have to update your RPD. So we externalize the connection, but that externalization was pointing to console connections. We are standardizing those, all connections to be DB connections. So you will see a new property that says when you create connections that says system, and your model points to a DB connection. So that basically means if you migrate a model from dev to test, as long as the same connection name exists, you don't have to do anything with it in your model.
All right, next one here. We would like to manage the data sets individually between instances. For example, when a data set is corrupted.
I can take that. I think right now the only facility for that is for you to have your own DVA backups, or what some customers will do is restore a snapshot to another test instance and then extract a DVA. There isn't a direct backup or management of an individual data set.
So new Semantic Modeler will be available in May release, but guidance at this time is to not use it for production. Can you make sure that is the understanding? Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, the thing I will note is if you do hit a bug or an issue, it is supported. So if you do create an issue, feel free to connect with support. We just want to, we're in a preview mode. We don't have a lot of feedback yet. So we'd like to get your guys' feedback and testing and trying things out. And then we'll work with you guys to start rolling things into production. If you believe you're ready to roll into production with it, reach out to us and then we can have a discussion about that.
All right, another one for the Semantic Modeler. Are there additional enhancements to make some repetitive tasks easier, like auto date hierarchies or say dynamic/auto measurements?
Yes, there is, we have a long list of backlogs. Definitely we are considering a lot of enhancements. As you know, by now our focus has been on reproducing existing functionality, and along with architecturally making sure the SMML, the Git integration for multi-user development, everything is in place. Yes, but we do have plans to reduce some of these repetitive tasks in a better way.
And I'll just also note SMML is going to be a stable language to describe your semantic models. So feel free to start creating your own scripts and tools to do things. And we will communicate any changes to SML. We don't anticipate breaking changes, but it's always possible. But we would encourage you to create your own tools also.
All right, next one here. Where can we get all the good data sets that we see here in demo?
I will take that one. So for the data set, we use Oracle data. So we have some data set internally that we are using. But usually, if you want to use some data set, you can use Kaggle or different websites that you have on Google. You can type like free data set. I think maybe Barry, you want also to chime in? Or not?
Sorry, I was typing another question. What was the question?
For where do we find the data set? So I say that we have Oracle dedicated data set.
I saw that question. We have no plans to share the data sets.
Okay, let's move on. Pravin, this next one's for you. I saw you're going to answer it live.
Alex, could you please let me know which one is it?
Sorry, yes, it says, are there functions/features in the RPD modeling tool that are not yet available in the new Semantic Modeler?
We already addressed that when we addressed the first question.
Okay.
Kevin. Yeah.
Let's move on. This one's from Dana. Are you able to query across data sets using data insights?
If the question is around auto insights,
Yeah,
right now that's
yeah.
one per one data set, right? Philippe?
No, but if you mean the auto insight across data sets that have multi-tables, yes, it will cross analyze the data across the different tables as long as you mark it with a fact table. So preserve grain. There are videos on YouTube to explain this, if that was your question.
If you do blending, it'll only do, it won't bridge them, right?
It won't bridge them if you do blending. If you do blending, then it's one auto insight per data sets in your blending. Correct.
Yeah. I think the core thing to note there is that a data set is not based upon a single file. Last year we introduced this feature for multi-table data sets where a data set can be based on multiple tables from different data sources. So the answer to your question is yes, it can span multiple sources.
All right, next question. Can you grant us access to your ORDocs for OAC artifacts? I would kind of say no there, unfortunately, probably for legal purposes. I guess it depends what artifacts in particular that you are looking for. Some are public information, and that's going to be out there on the web for you to find. Okay, the next one we have Amit. He's going to answer if FAW RPD read-only be shared for public view, and what would be great, any such plan?
No, so there is no plan to make the FAW RPD available. We do have documentation for all of the content, and for lineage reasons, we are providing documentation on table information and things of that nature. But the RPD itself, there is no plan to share for public view.
Thanks, Amit. Next one, do we have pitch decks for these new features?
I mean, we have some deck, from product marketing. So I will recommend you to first, if you are a partner, which I think you are, to contact directly your the dedicated partner lead at Oracle. For example, it's Diwaka for Oracle Analytics. It will provide you all the material, or you can also find Barry on the future email tomorrow that you are going to receive. Ping Barry on LinkedIn, and Barry has like an entire room of material for you. So he will be happy to communicate to you.
Yeah, and chatting to that, so partners do have access to our internal system called Sales Accelerator. And from Sales Accelerator, we basically allow you access to all of that content. It's our catalog repository. So rather than having to send it piece by piece, if you come and contact Diwaka, contact myself, make sure you have that access.
Next question, where can I get more details for each demo? So everything we saw here today. Any live lab or demo instance?
Jimmy, do you want to answer that? Jimmy?
For the, we do have, let's see, so for the HCM statistic functions, we might, or I guess for all of these, we might have ones on YouTube, but if we do want to have kind of more details, we can follow up maybe one-on-one with you in the future.
Good, next one.
Okay. In the roadmap, is it in the roadmap, the availability to set a default value in a DV filter? One similar to analytics dashboard prompts.
So you already, go ahead, Ben. So there is a visualization that excuse me, replaces filters on the canvas. I think it's already GA that allows you to have a default value already. It's a hard-coded default value, but it's already there. It's DV filters, dashboard filters, I think it is. Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. And then when we have parameters, that will work with those filters. So I would start exploring that feature now.
Yeah.
Okay, one from Tim here. We'd love to see an update to the RPD best practices document from several years ago. We still see a lot of repositories with less than ideal choices / designs. Thank you for that.
Point taken, yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions here. The feature of sharing data flows, when is that expected?
I don't have a date to announce, but we're still, think it will be this calendar year, but we don't have a date right now to announce.
But we have still an interim solution. Now, if you are an administrator, you can go into the console, go into the content management, and you are able to see all the data flow from all your users you can click on the data flow. For example, if you have one of your users that left the company, you can click on the data flow, reassign the data flow to yourself, or assign the data flow to other users. So it's a kind of interim solution to share data flow or to reassign data flow.
Okay. Externalizing the connections from RPD will be a big help. When is that getting released?
It's already in Semantic Modeler. Yep.
All right, and last one, is auto insights on classic subject areas on the roadmap?
Not on classic subject areas. So you need to export the data that you want from your subject area into a data set, and then auto insight will work.
All right, and that is it for our questions today. Thank you everyone for attending and sticking through this with us. This will be available on the YouTube page in a few days. And thank you, Oracle team, for presenting, answering the questions. It's been a great one. So enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great day, and thank you.
Thanks everyone.
Oh, guys.